Welcome, everyone, to the newest episode of Ready, Set, Rewatch, a show where we go back, take a look at movies and TV shows we love, and maybe a few that we hate. My name is Skyler, and with me is my co-host Daniel,
Hello, buddy.
and today we are continuing our watch of Star Trek, the original series.
Yay.
We're going to be doing 2 episodes today,
Correct.
and we are taking a look at first episode, which is Dagger of the Mind, Season 1, Episode 10.
Dagger of the Mind opens up like any good episode
In
with
space.
in space with a bunch of unnamed crewmen loading what appear to be giant pill bottles.
That's exactly what I said. Is that they're beaming down giant prescription bottles to a prison colony.
To a prison colony called Tantalus, which is interesting. Tantalus, I guess, is named after the guy from like Greek myth. I don't know that it really like makes sense for this, but whatever.
What does Tantalus do in the mythology?
Tantalus is that guy who he was like super greedy in life, and so when he died and went to Tartarus, he was in a place where like he was standing in a pool of fresh, clean water, but whenever he bent down to drink it, it would like go away. It would like lower, so he couldn't drink it. And then there were fruit above him, and every time he reached up to grab one, it would like wither away. So he was always like within reach of food and water, but could never get it.
Yeah, it doesn't super fit here. I mean, I guess there's something to be said about one of the things that we kind of delve into here is hubris. I would say that hubris is the main villain of the episode.
Yeah,
And so I guess being in reach of something good, but then overreaching and doing something bad, maybe? I don't
maybe.
know. Kind of stretching on behalf of the writers, I think.
Yeah. So they're beaming down these, or trying, I guess, to beam down these giant pill bottles, but it like doesn't work. And the guy who I guess it's his first day somehow is like, "Oh, I don't understand. Like, why is it not working?" And then Kirk comes in of all people, not Scotty, and is like, "It's a penal colony, dingus. They got
Yeah,
their
the
shield up
shield's
so that
up.
people can't transport in and out of there."
Stupid ass.
Stupid ass.
Dumbass.
So he calls down and has them lower the shield, and he's like, "Familiarize yourself with the penal colony part of the handbook or whatever." So they send all the stuff down, and they get a box back that's not suspicious at all. Giant. Could not be less
It
suspicious.
says, please don't open this box on
It,
the side
it
of the
says,
box.
"Don't open. Definitely not a dude in here. Couldn't possibly be anything other than paperwork." And
It's
a
a really
box
big
that is,
box.
it's like 6 foot by 4 foot.
It's not just big enough to fit a person.
Yeah.
It's big enough to fit a person comfortably.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Or like 4 uncomfortably.
Yeah, there you go.
So that gets beamed up to them, and Kirk is like, "All right, everything here checks out," and walks out of the room. And there were 2 other guys in the room, and I think one of them also must have like left with him, because there's just one guy left who turns his back to the definitely safe box as a very dirty man crawls out of the box and sneaks up behind him, hits him with a "Hya!" and karate chops him and knocks him out.
If you could just picture in your mind's eye a crazy man,
Mm-hmm.
that's him.
He's doing like the big bulgy eyes thing. He's got his hair all messed up. He
Yeah.
looks so sweaty, just so sweaty. He karate chops our boy, steals his clothes. He like changes into his uniform. We don't see the guy on the ground afterwards, so I guess it's possible he put his clothes onto that guy. If not, there's just a naked crewman laying on the ground there.
There is a shot. He's got like a black undershirt on,
He's got
so
his
he's not nudie.
he's got his balls out, bro.
Well, okay, yeah, we don't see his balls
He's got his balls
in
out.
frame, so he might have his balls out. That's entirely possible.
He's pressing sack on this on the transporter floor.
Oh, it's a cold floor.
It's a cold floor. He might wake up with his balls in a different zip code. Then we get the little intro break, and when we come back, Kirk and Bones are on the bridge talking about penal colonies. And Bones is like, "Ah, a cage is a cage." And then Kirk is like, weirdly, like, super pro prison. And he's like,
He,
"No, they're more like resorts. They're great. They're
he's
awesome."
not, he's not pro prison.
He's kind
He's
of
pro the guy making these prisons.
I guess that's true.
Kirk always has an affinity to automatically, without seeing what's going on, he tends to side with, well, this is one of the Federation's leading minds, and he knows what he's doing. He makes good stuff. He's made countless good advancements in science and technology, and he's going down there and he's making what used to be terrible prisons less terrible. And so, like
Yeah.
on paper, if we're thinking like, yeah, we would want in the future, like we don't want prisons, we want to be able to reform people. So, he's definitely wants to believe that. But then he gets down there and he's like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're getting ahead of us a little bit, but yeah.
yeah,
He's
yeah.
definitely like defending it at this point though. He's like, "No, no, no.
Mhm.
They're more like resorts now. They're great. They're awesome. They're super cool." Meanwhile, our sweaty gross inmate is running around the Enterprise and oh no, no, no. First they get a message from the colony and they're like, "Hey, we're missing a dude.
We did a big oopsie.
Hey, that normal size box, there wasn't a dude in there, was there?"
You didn't happen to look inside the human-sized box, did you?
So
No, it said don't open it.
So as soon as they get the call, Kirk's like, "All right, everyone, put on the alert. There's a crazy guy on the ship. We gotta stop him.
There's a sweaty man on
There's a
board once
sweaty
again.
man. We gotta beat his ass. I don't know. It's happened
And
before. It'll happen again.
in theory, we should be fine as long as he's not really good at taking out security guys with a single judo chop to the back of the neck.
It's impossible to say that this man will be capable of good old judo chops, but
Well,
here's hoping.
we did see him do it once before,
Yeah, yeah.
as soon as he got here, but that might have been a fluke.
Must have
To
been a
think he
fluke.
could do it regularly, like on command.
Impossible. Surely
Yeah.
impossible. But it's okay because our buddy gets spotted almost immediately. He's like walking through the hallway, like being as suspicious as humanly possible. He's like hiding his face and like looking all creepy. Then one of the security officers sees him and is like, "Hey, what are you doing? Hey, go back
Oh,
here."
he's not just creepy and sweaty. He is crazy.
And
So
so
this is how a crazy person looks not suspicious.
yeah, so he starts like running, and then at some point he runs into a different security guard and it gets him with you'll never guess what, hits him with a second judo chop,
Oh, damn it.
and then he takes his gun. He takes
Oh
his
yeah.
phaser. So now we
He's
got
armed and dangerous now.
an armed inmate with judo capabilities. He's got karate chop action and a phaser. He's basically unstoppable. Kirk is talking to, back on the bridge, Kirk is talking to the doctor from the colony, who's Dr. Adams, and he tells him that the guy on board is both really smart and super violent, and that he needs to take him incredibly seriously. And then while that's happening, or like shortly after, like Bones walks over to Spock, and they're like it's like he has this look on his face like he's trying to gossip a little bit, and
Yeah.
and Spock is like, "I don't understand why humans glorify some violence but punish others or something."
Yeah, he takes a inappropriately timed jab.
Yeah, and then Spock goes on to say like, "Oh, Vulcan, we removed our emotions to remove motive for violence." And I'm like, I don't know if that's necessarily true, but all right.
Well, yeah, Vulcans are famously very calm until they're not, but
Until
we'll
they're
get
not,
there.
because we'll need them to be characters at some point. And then as soon as that conversation is done, our guy, our homie, the inmate, comes up onto the bridge and judo chops a third guy.
Man,
Hits him right in the neck. Judo chops him right out. Hits him so hard he just falls asleep. Hits him with the sleepu no jutsu. And then he pulls a gun. He's like, "Who? All right, who the captain? Who run this bitch?" Kirk identifies himself and he's like, "I would like asylum." And then he tries to identify himself. He's like, "My name is Simon." And he's like in pain whenever he tries to say his name. He like grabs his side or something. The conversation really doesn't go anywhere. He starts threatening that he's going to destroy the control panel, but then Spock and Kirk hit him with their tag team finisher, which is a high kick from Kirk and a neck pinch from Spock.
yeah, and I want to point out that the high kick added nothing.
No, it didn't help at all.
Like the neck pinch is all you needed.
Yeah. So they get him to med bay, and Simon starts like talking mad trash, and he's like, "Oh, you're just gonna drop me back off at the penal colony, huh? Make me somebody else's problem, huh? Yeah, big man can't handle his own problem."
Dude, you don't even live here. What are you talking about?
And he keeps trying to identify himself, and he gives them his full legal. He says he tells them that he is Simon Van Gelder, and that he was the director at the colony. But every time he tries to like tell them anything about himself, that he ends up like in a lot of pain. And then he
Simon
starts
Van
going off about like, I used to know, but they erased it, and that gets Bones' attention. Um,
doesn't doesn't Simon Van Gelder play for the Minnesota Vikings?
you're thinking of, I don't know his first name, but Van Ginkel.
Van Ginkel. Yeah.
But he, not Van Ginkel, but Van Gelder, he starts like freaking out a little bit, and so Bones sedates him. Back on the bridge, Spock is looking at something, and he's like, "Hey, I looked up Simon Van Gelder. Turns out he's telling the truth. He is a doctor. He was assigned to the penal colony, and he's an associate, like an assistant to the guy you were just talking to a minute ago, Dr. Adam, who is apparently
What?
super good at science."
The plot thickens.
The plot thickens, and so Kirk is like, "Oh, is that right? Huh?" And
Get this guy on the horn.
he gets him on the horn, and Dr. Adams immediately is like, he's like a step ahead this whole conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Because before Kirk can be like, "Why didn't you tell me this was your guy?" He's like, "Is Dr. Van Gelder okay?" And he like
Yeah.
kind of like puts all this information out before he can be questioned on it, which is like a pretty
Yeah.
smart play on his part.
Very like a politician.
Yeah. And then Dr. Adams tells him basically that Simon had some beam, some science beam that he was going to test on people, but he was like, "Well, it's not humane for me to test it on the patient, so I'll test it on myself." And I guess it fried his brain. But Bones like doesn't believe him at all. And Kirk again goes on the defense for Dr. Adams, and he's like, "Dr. Adams is done more for." I forget exactly what he said, but he was basically like, he's done more to make prisons better than the rest of human history for like 40 centuries or something crazy.
And Bones is like, "No, Jim, he didn't found Tesla. He just bought it."
You just bought Tesla, Jim. So then Adams like floats out a lie. He's like, I want you to take my guy to the best facility in the area, but he like knows full well that the
Yeah,
only facility in the area is his.
you can almost feel the shit-eating grin on the other side of the line. Because
Yeah.
Bones is like, he knows there's no place better.
So they decide that they're going to take him back down, but before they do, Bones is like, "All right, I didn't want to do this, but I'm going to catch you with my bureaucracy real fast. I'm going to write in my log that we shouldn't take him down, and that will force you to have to respond in yours. So you're going to have to go down and check this thing out and make sure that it's a good place to send him." So Bones being a real one this episode.
His instincts are in tune. He knows what he's doing.
So Kirk like apologized to Adam. He's like, "Oh man, like my doctor's like he's such a loser, bro. Like he thinks that you're crazy, and like I shouldn't send this guy back down." The conversation goes for a minute, and they're basically just like, "Oh, it's fine. Come on down. Bring a minimal staff. We're supposed to like keep
Right
low."
there. That's
Yeah.
the you could almost buy this guy's BS. He's got an answer for everything until he's like, "Yeah, no, come on down. Bring as few people as possible."
Yeah,
if it's okay.
He does try to cover it a little bit because he's like, "Oh, well, we're supposed to like limit contact with outside people because blah 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 whatever because we're a prison." And like that does make sense, but also for some reason Bones doesn't go. Instead, he signs up a new character who I don't even know if she's ever going to show up again, but her name is Helen Noel, and she's a cutie.
I've got a fact about this character.
Oh,
I don't know if I should. It seems appropriate to say it now because it kind of recontextualizes how the episode goes. But this is not. I know I just called it one. This is not a fun fact.
Uh-oh.
This is a gross fact. So, the part of Helen Noel was originally written to be the character Janice Rand. But there's two reasons why Janice Rand is not in this episode. Number one, according to the producers, they wanted to avoid showing Kirk becoming romantically involved with Janice Rand. They were like, we don't want to cross that boundary with them, even though that's been like a not a will they won't they, but like she clearly pines for him. He either doesn't give a shit or tries to keep professional, although he doesn't really keep professional in this episode. But no, the real reason is the actress who plays Rand, Grace Lee Whitney. She was on the verge of leaving the show due to personal problems on set, mostly being SA'd by a producer.
Oh. It wasn't our boy Gene, was it?
I do not believe it was Gene. He's married to Nurse Chapel.
Right.
Oh,
Right. I guess it wouldn't stop him from being a creep, but he seems to not be. So,
Yeah, I don't think he was. I mean, I wasn't there,
well,
but
that's awful.
yeah, not a fun fact, but that's why this lady comes out of nowhere.
So is Rand basically done with the show? Like she's on the next episode, I know, but is she like basically just like not in the
Yeah,
rest of the show?
I think she. I don't know how much longer she sticks around, but I think she peters out before the end of season one.
Gotcha, gotcha. So yeah, so Kirk meets with Dr. Noel in the transporter room to beam down to the colony, and she's very attractive, and she it's weird. She's talking to him and she's like, "We've met before, remember? Like the Christmas party," which is such a like a red flag immediately of like what happened at the Christmas
Ooh.
party. Oh, like these two hook up. What's going on? But
Yeah,
then at the same time, he's like kind of acting like he doesn't know her, and I don't know if he's just like if he does remember and he's trying to cover it up or like hide what happened at the Christmas party, or if somehow he just like doesn't know his own crew, which would be honestly, I think maybe even more embarrassing.
No, I don't think it's that one. I think how it's supposed to come across is he maybe got a little flirtatious with this lady at the Christmas party.
Hmm.
He put on that Kirk charm. You can't help but hold a woman close when the elevator's doors close too strongly,
Yeah.
which happens in a second. I think it's supposed to be like I know that we had a bit of a spark at this casual meetup thing, but I am the captain and I don't want to do that with my crew.
I do think that that's
Which is very clearly what his rapport with Rand is.
well,
It's what it's been the whole time. Where it's just like again, like I guess you
yeah,
could be.
until a
It could
disease
be like
comes
he
in or
doesn't care.
something,
Hmm.
and then he gets creepy.
Like seeing like this episode written as it being Rand, and it's like they finally have like a romantic connection in a way, even though he's brainwashed into admitting spoilers. Um,
Yeah.
it's I can see you could definitely see how it was written for a different character, and this one is just it definitely makes Jim seem more like a sex pest the way they said it. I don't
Yeah.
think that's how it was meant to come across,
No,
but it's just like
but
a new young hottie bombati walks in and she's like, "Remember me from the Christmas party?"
from the
And
Christmas party.
us in the 21st century were like, "Oh yeah, Jim?
Also, like,
What was that?"
come on, Roddenberry. She's the girl from the Christmas party, and her name's Noelle.
Mm,
Get out of here, my guy.
that
What are
might have
we
been like an
doing?
on the day decision.
It feels like it a little bit. Kirk, like, I don't think he's talking directly to Bones. He's talking to somebody else, and he's like, "You better tell Bones that if this Noelle lady better be the best assistant I've ever had." I don't know.
Uh,
It doesn't come up.
it,
It's just a funny
I
thing.
I do love, and he does it often in situations like this. But this hot young woman walks through, and she's like, "I'm gonna be accompanying you, Captain."
Yeah.
Spock gives him such a look,
Oh my
like,
god.
"Captain,
Not
don't
he's
don't
Spock is serving looks this whole episode.
don't harass this one."
Don't they beam down to the planet, and I put a note here that like is Dr. Noel's skirt significantly shorter than the other women's, because it feels like it is. Like you can see she's wearing shorts underneath, like booty shorts, and you can
Yeah.
see them in most shots, especially
Yes.
like anytime she's walking.
Without going into too much detail, I'm going to say yes.
Okay, yeah. And I was like, and now knowing that the reason she's in here is because somebody else was being assaulted or like
Hmm.
was had at least accusations of SA, is it's like,
Hmm.
huh, okay, it's a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. It's the
They
60s.
it's
We
the
all
60s,
uncomfortable.
baby. They get into an elevator and it drops really really fast, and Kirk goes ah, and he grabs Helen and holds her really tight.
Damn
Uh,
near plants went on her there.
just about all but, and she's like, oh, it'll take your breath away, and it's like, do you mean the elevator or do you mean getting hugged by sexy shoulder Kirk?
Mm. He doesn't pop any slutty shoulders out this time, I don't think.
He doesn't, and I'm a little disappointed, truthfully. They get down to the bottom, like into the penal colony, which is I guess underground based on how far that elevator went.
We had the sets.
Yeah. Adams greets them, and he looks like vaguely familiar. He looks like Denethor from the Lord of the Rings movies a little bit. He's not, but he kind of looks like that same guy.
Oh, John Noble.
I couldn't tell you, but probably. You're really good
His
at
name is
actor names,
his,
so like
his name
probably.
is John Noble. Hmm.
And he has a logo on his robe that I made a note of because I thought it was in particular very culty. And it's a hand that's doing like almost an okay sign but like between the thumb and forefinger is a dove, and
Mhm.
then above the other three fingers is this big like radiant star sun looking thing. It looks very religious and not at all medical, which is
Yeah,
weird that he's like a medical doctor.
it is strange. It doesn't really gel like aesthetically with what he's doing, but I do think there is something there again connecting the dots for them where like when we find out what he is doing, he's trying to play God in a way.
Yeah, a little bit.
And so like the idea of like plucking a dove out of the sky is kind of like godlike. I don't know.
Yeah. So Kirk tries to check his weapon, but Adams is like, nah, it's unnecessary. I know that you people feel naked without your guns, just the same as I would without a medikit. And it's like, well, you're not holding one right now, so I guess you're naked. Kirk tries to use his communicator, but it doesn't work, and Adams has to hit a button to let it through, because I guess also penal colony, like security measures. They just want to set up that.
The shields. It's not like how some dudes in prison nowadays just get a hold of cell phones.
Yeah, I guess.
They're just on like TikTok Live or whatever.
Hey, Chad, this is my cell. I wrote a robotic woman, but that's not really correct.
She's a blank woman.
This lady with a vacant look in her face and a really bad haircut and an even worse, like Cosby patterned dress, comes into the room and she monotones some stuff. I guess she's a patient who like now kind of works there. She's like also Adam's assistant, but she was a patient beforehand. It seemed it's I don't know. Adams is like, oh, everything's going great. I fixed this one, and then he's like, we should make a toast, and he pours some drinks, and it's he says some lofty stuff about nothing, and Kirk asks to see. Kirk asks to see something. He wants to see like the machine. They're like basically just walking around, and Kirk's like
Yeah.
sees a machine in a room, and he's like, I want to see that, and Helen, Dr. Noel, is like, oh, I don't think that's necessary. It's
Yeah, already failing at her
He
job.
says it doesn't work, so there's no reason to go in. But then they walk in, and it's being actively used. So the guy's like, "Oh, it didn't work," but like they're using it on a guy currently.
And I've never seen a more obvious brainwash machine
Yeah,
than this. This is Clockwork Orange. There is no war in Ba Sing
there
Se.
is no worry about
It's
Sing
all
Se.
of it. This is it.
It's like two dials, and one is like on off, and the other one is just like how strong it goes. And then there's a like a green, almost like gem on the wall that shoots a beam at them, but we can't see the beam. It's the beam is implied. The beam is a metaphor. It's called a neural neutralizer, and I guess what that means is that it like softens your thoughts, but what it really does,
Takes the wrinkles out.
it takes the wrinkles out. It steam cleans your brain, takes it out and beats it like a rug. Back on the Enterprise, Spock and Bones are still hanging out with Dr. Simon Van Gelder. He reveals like, "Hey, I was in a thing. It was called the neural neutralizer. Blah blah blah." He basically just tells them, "Hey, I my problem happened in that machine that Kirk is in the room with right at this exact moment." Back on the planet, Adams tells Kirk and Helen that what happened to Van Gelder is that he put himself in that room, cranked the power up all the way, and then like no one was there to get him out, basically. So it just like
What?
fried him.
So we're left to believe that he ran up on the control board, slammed both dials at max, and then just like dove into the chair
I
really
guess.
fast.
Yeah. Kirk like seems like he buys it at first, but then I think maybe he's lying because as soon as we get to the next scene with him, like he's suspicious again. But I don't know. At this point, he's like investigating and he's doing his job, but he's still kind of like assuming the best. I think.
Yeah, well, he doesn't want to assume the worst.
Yeah.
He clearly respected this guy. Every time we hear of a respected guy and then we go to see what they're doing on, it's always crook.
It really is. Like this is kind of the same story as the android guy
Yeah.
from what our little girl's made of or whatever.
hmm
It's a very similar thing of like, there's this guy who's really good at a thing, and we're gonna meet him on this distant planet. Uh-oh, he's the worst. I guess that is also kind of true of the salt vampire guy. What was his name? Crater.
Yeah, Dr. Crater, I think.
I'm pretty sure
I
that
think
was
that's right.
Anyway, as soon as they walk out of the room, this like again very vacant expression guy who's running the machine cranks it all the way up on the guy that's in the like in the chair currently, and he's like, "If you remember anything that just happened, I swear to God, you will feel the worst pain, and it will get worse until you give up trying to remember it." And he's like going like super hard on this guy.
It'll hurt. You will cry. You will poop
You
yourself.
will
People
poop
will know.
yourself. Uh,
People will automatically know.
so I wrote here, Kirk is becoming more skeptical, and Helen is now fully defending Adams because she's just like, "Oh, I don't think this is necessary. It's all blah blah blah." Like she just like is
Yeah,
covering up a little bit to the
I
point
don't.
where I kind of thought she was going to heel turn.
Well, yeah, I don't know. She just kind of got stupid as soon as they got to the planet
It's because
because,
she's hanging out with a cutie.
oh, yeah, maybe she was a little distracted.
Hmm.
It's weird that she's just like, oh, I don't know. I think everything's peachy keen. Like that wasn't your job to come down here and just say that. You're supposed to be doing what
Yeah.
Bones told you to do.
It is weird that she's the person that Bones sent, and she's the one at this point who's like kind of trying to not see it as what it is.
I mean, I guess Bones could have gone himself. Presumably, he stayed because of
Van Gelder.
the Van Gelder being on the ship as a patient. Like, I gotta
Yeah.
figure out what's wrong with him. You'd think you could send Nurse Chapel instead, but again, we had to hastily rewrite this to be someone who wasn't Rand, but someone Kirk could smooch.
I should point out also, I talked about her dress. Her hair is also like kind of stupid. It's less stupid than Rand's, but it has like it's kind of like a messy updo. But then off to one
Yeah,
side, there's just like this random tuft that comes out like behind the nape of her neck, and it looks kind of stupid. She's still
it's
like super attractive, but her hair is like, what are we doing?
it's kind of like I don't even know how to describe it, but yeah, there's lots of little ponytails like together. It's almost like if Rey Skywalker went to a rave
Uh,
Skywalker, if you will.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was gonna say it looks like somebody who just got done playing Pretty Princess with her kids,
Oh, and the kids did the hair.
like did
Yeah,
the
a
hair. Yeah.
little bit.
But to be clear, she still like it still looks okay. She doesn't look like a mess or anything. It's just like, is this supposed to be like a future hairstyle that I don't get? Like that's kind of the vibe that I get from it.
It almost makes it seem more 60s, if anything.
Yeah, in a way, I definitely get what you're saying there. Kirk says that they're gonna stay the night on the colony over the like communicator to Bones and Spock, and Simon overhears and starts freaking out, and he's like, "Don't do it! Adams will destroy you. He'll destroy you like death." And I'm like, "What is? He'll kill you? You could just say he'll kill you. Like, is that
No,
what
he's
you mean?"
crazy. He's crazy. He doesn't know how to say that. I wonder if him was Kirk saying like, "Oh, we'll stay the night here." Is that like just to keep an eye on everything, see if anything changes or happens overnight? Because he definitely didn't have to. You could beam up, beam back down in the morning.
Yeah. So I think we find out why in his next scene. Is I think he's already planning for that, but we'll get to that in a second. Because first we have to talk about Spock massaging Van Ginkel's face and doing a mind
Okay,
meld.
yeah, the first ever Vulcan mind meld.
Spock. What I wrote here is Spock uses a Vulcan ability to delve into Simon's mind. He grabs Simon's face and starts talking to him in a kind of sexy way.
Yeah, he had to invent Vulcan ASMR.
it it really feels like
He has
ASMR.
to. He part a very important part of the mind meld process is to do that thing where you mimic cracking an egg over his head and then run
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
yolk down the back.
He's got that thing with like the like bunch of different arms that you like rub over someone's head. Bones is in the corner with one of those like what would you call it, like a harmonic bowls that you like rub this stick around so it hums.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No doubt, no doubt. So he like gets into his brain. And he's like, "We're the same person. Tell me what you know about the thing that you know." And Simon tells them Adams can change people's memories and control them. Is basically what it comes down to. Is like he is able to insert ideas and memories or whatever into people's minds to change who they are and like turn them basically into like puppets. So that's great. Meanwhile, back in the hellhole, Kirk visits Helen, and oh, I should probably point out. So this is a penal colony. We don't see any like cells or anything, and I assume some of the people walking around are just the inmates. So it
Yeah,
really does kind of give off the vibes of like a resort, and a lot of people are like very deadpan and like blank face, so like clearly they've been neutralized.
yeah.
But
He's
it's like I don't know. This doesn't it doesn't read as either like sanitarium or institute or prison.
No.
It reads as like a hotel.
Well, that's part of the, and they don't really get into it other than just baseline what you're doing is wrong. But if you just dig a little deeper than that, you're taking what he's doing clearly is he's taking these prison inmates and he's brainwashing them, wiping the slate clean, and then being like, "All right, cool. You run the coffee maker. You're gonna do the dishes. You're a landscaper." Like he's just
Mm,
making slave labor out of the inmates.
yeah. So Kirk goes to visit Helen in her room, and he basically convinces her that hey, we gotta go look at this machine, and she tries again to be like, oh, but like we'll just wait until the morning and we'll talk to Adams about it. And Kirk has a really good line where he's like, and he'll continue lying. If he's lying, then he'll just keep lying tomorrow. We need to see it ourselves and do an investigation. Would that be
You're
all right
smart
with you,
sometimes.
madam? Which I don't know. He says it in kind of a sassy way. So,
Yeah.
but he is right.
Well, you'll have to remember he's talking to a woman.
Yeah, a woman in the
Into
'60s,
the
no less.
60s, no less. Yeah, there you go. Um,
Um,
there
mhm.
was another thing earlier where Adams was like, look at this, Kirk. Look at my little hypnosis machine. It's not evil. I'm certainly not building a house of horrors." I'm like, dude, this is the most house of horrors thing I've ever seen in my life.
This is pretty spooky. It's pretty spooky.
In fact, when he said it, I like snapped my finger and I was like, "House of Horrors." That's the way to describe it.
That's what we're doing here. So they go back to look at the machine, and Kirk sits in the chair, which like I don't think is a good idea, but here we are. So he seats
Yeah.
himself. I guess it makes more sense for him to do it than for him to put Helen in it. Like I don't imagine Kirk throwing a woman into this thing and like potentially in the way of danger. So like
I
if
do.
the options are him or her, I understand him doing that. But at the same time, it's
Yeah.
like this is a bad idea.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a bad idea either way, but
Yeah.
I can see, I I can't not see him doing it.
So she like turns it on for a second. He's like, put it on for just a couple seconds and whatever. So he does that, and then she's like, whenever you're ready. And she's like, I already did it, and you got really like stupid looking for a second. And he's like, oh, that's crazy. I didn't even notice. Tried to implant something into my head, and so she does it again, and she's like, you're
He's
hungry.
he's really asking for it
He's
too.
really asking for it.
He's like, "No, no, something sexier."
Yeah. He's like, she's like, you're hungry, and she turns it off again, and he's like, I'd like to raid a kitchen. I'm getting hungry, and she's like, I put that in your head. It's crazy. It works so great. And then he's like, ooh, try something crazier, and I'm like, she's gonna make him kiss her. She's gonna
Yeah,
make him
this
kiss
is
her. That's what's
gonna.
gonna happen. But
We're
she
heading
goes
straight. We're going
harder.
60 miles an hour up Me Too Boulevard.
Yeah, but she doesn't tell him to kiss her. She kind of goes harder in some ways. She forms a fake story in her mind about, or in his mind, about what happened at the Christmas party and how they hooked up at the Christmas party. And I'm like, so did they not hook up at the Christmas party? Because like it was
No,
implied that they hooked up at the Christmas party, but now he
it was
believes that they did, regardless.
yeah, yeah.
So that's crazy.
It's messed up.
But Adams interferes like while Kirk is being told this story, and he like
He's got a very happy face as he's being
yeah,
told the
he's like,
story,
ooh,
though.
I get to interrupt and do something goofy. So he pulls Helen aside and he starts making the thing worse. And he's like, you're madly in love with her. And if you don't have her, you'll be in terrible pain. And I'm like, it's always the terrible pain with these guys.
Yeah,
It's like the third guy. It's always terrible pain. Why does it have to be terrible pain about him wanting to make out with Helen?
fastest way to get him to comply.
I guess so. Adams also makes him drop his phaser, which I wrote in here looks a lot like a key fob for a car. And then he tries to get him to drop his communicator, and he kind of refuses to, and he keeps trying to fight it off and like call the Enterprise, which of course won't work because the shield is up or whatever, so he can't actually get a call through.
At that point, why even force him to drop it? It won't work.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point actually. Kirk wakes back up in his quarters with Helen like fully on top of her, on top of him, like sponging his forehead, and he like almost kind of goes to kiss her, but not really. For Kirk, it's a very half-hearted attempt. And she's like,
He, yeah,
"No,
I could have been more aggressive.
no, Adams put this into your mind. Don't try to kiss me." Blah blah blah. And so they don't.
Adams put half of it in.
No,
You
no, no,
started it.
no, that's crazy. No, Adams did it. She didn't do nothing. And he's like, okay, cool. Hey, get in this air duct though, and go to the electrical room, and don't touch the wrong thing, or you will die.
You will explode.
And she's like,
100%.
yeah, sounds great.
Well, I guess this is. I didn't expect this is how the day was going to shake out, but here we are.
And then the second he closes the duct behind her, there's like 2 guards in the room with him, and they're like, back to the evil chair, Kirk.
Yeah, we're gonna keep this torture thing, the mind wipe thing. It was giving me a headache just watching it.
See, the crazy thing is, I was about to say, it doesn't look that bad.
Really?
Yeah, it really doesn't
I
to
don't
me.
know. I just headaches suck, and I just picture a big headache happening. And
Yeah, I guess
a,
that's
a
fair.
headache so bad it makes Kirk like twist and fall out of his chair. That's nuts.
I mean, it could have been. We don't know for sure it was a headache. It could have been he was imagining someone
Oh,
punching
it
him in
was
the balls.
torsion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's got torsion.
testicular torsion. That's crazy. That's
We,
why he stood up. That makes a lot more sense.
yeah, we don't joke about torsion in this house.
We
It's
never
it's
see,
fair.
actually, yeah, we never see where the beam is pointing.
True. Oh my God, true. It's not pointing at the forehead. It's pointing at the balls. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
You don't control a man with his mind, Captain Kirk. You control him with his balls.
You got to grab him by the boys. Anyway, Kirk
Ugh.
gets put back in the chair and beamed. And Adam says that he's doing really good and that Van Gelder was crying on the ground at this point. The rainbow dress robot comes back in and she's like, Helen's missing. Oh my God. So Adams cranks the machine up super hard and he's like, where is she? Tell me where you sent her. What orders did you send her with? And Kirk is resisting really good and not telling him. But at the same time, I'm kind of also like, if you can resist enough to get out of the chair, you should probably just go punch that guy.
It hurts. Hurts too much.
Yeah. I don't know. I just wish he had been restrained. Is basically all I would want, I guess.
No, you can't restrain Shatner. He can't get his full performance out if you restrain him.
Yeah, if you restrain him, you have to pop a shoulder.
It's bad
It's the
enough.
trade-off.
It's bad enough he's fully clothed at the moment. He's
It's
got to pop the boys out.
it's truly disappointing that he didn't get the shoulders out. Anyway, meanwhile, in the electrical room, Helen kills the machine. There's like a big like lever switchy thing up on a high shelf, and she jumps up and gets it, and it turns some power off or whatever, which allows Kirk to get away from the chair and karate chop 2 dudes. But then another guy runs into the electrical room where Helen is and throws her to the ground and kind of like beats her up a little bit and turns the thing back on, which then turns the laser on or the beam on to hitting Adams, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
The stuff that happens in Kirk's side of the fight is edited in very quickly to the point where I had to
Yeah.
like rewind because I like
it's tough to see
looked
what's
down
going
and
on
missed
here.
it. There's a Kirk gets in his own judo chop really fast.
Yep.
And then yeah, when it gets turned back on, Adams is the one that gets caught in it that time.
Yeah. But meanwhile, in the electrical room, Helen, not to be outdone, kills a dude.
Explodes a man.
She kicks a dude. She's like thrown to the ground, and he like is standing over her. I guess gonna like capture her or something. I don't think he was gonna like kill her, but I think he was gonna like take her back to her room or something. And she kicks him, and he stumbles into the electrical thing again, and it is the thing that Kirk warned her about like don't touch the wrong wire, you'll die. She gets electrocuted and presumably dies.
She went full for because she was like playing possum on the ground.
Yeah,
She had her like her wrist up against her forehead like a oh heavens.
yeah,
Oh my goodness, what has happened? And then he's like going to restrain her, and then just a solid shove of the boot, he flies into the electrified fence or whatever it is.
and I'm gonna say it, and this is potentially a hot take. This bumps her up pretty high in my ranking of the women of Star Trek. It puts her right underneath Uhura.
Murder is sexy, is what we're saying.
She has accomplished something. She has been shown to be capable and able to get things done.
That's true.
She was given a task and she went off and did it, and it also involved like combat
That's
and
true.
kicking somebody's ass.
Does that offset the Me Too brainwashing that she kind of did a minute ago?
No, but at the same time, it's kind of like I don't know. I don't feel bad for Kirk in that scenario.
What you're saying is you're willing to overlook the Me Too brainwashing because she's hot.
I'm willing to overlook it because I feel that Kirk would have consented.
Yeah, well,
Because really, we don't know what she was gonna do. I don't think she wanted him. I don't think she wanted him to like make out with her. Maybe she did, but she was just gonna make him feel awkward about the Christmas party. I think. So I don't know. It was Adams that came in and did the love thing. He was the one who made it weird.
yeah. Okay, he added the pain. That wasn't
He
her.
added the pain and he added the love. All she said was we hooked up at the Christmas party.
But that was a lie, I think.
She just look. All she did was make him believe fan fiction. Adams made it happen currently.
All right, all right. That's fine.
Um,
What's important is
the yeah.
Spock shows up and he catches Kirk once he's
Well,
escaped and
first, because I want to get an answer here, Kirk or Spock beams down somehow to exactly into the electrical room where Helen just was, but she's crawled into a vent, so she's not there at the moment. How does he do that? Because as soon as he gets down there, he punches a block and turns off a thing that turns off the shield so that people can beam down. So how the hell did he beam down?
Spock's very smart. He's a scientist.
Uh-huh.
He's a science officer, and which means he's not a chief engineer, but he knows his way around engineering, one would assume. And so he just found the right thing, and then he turned it off. What I want to point out is the little prop lever that he had to pull, or like he had to put it up. It clearly broke because he jams it up, and then it immediately falls back down, and then Leonard Nimoy just like smacks it back up and holds it for a second.
Look, we didn't have a lot of budget, okay?
Oh, it's fine. Fine. Spock did it. Then he goes to the next room and he sees a brainwashed Kirk kissing on the lady, and he gives Kirk another look that's like, I fucking knew this would happen.
He pops the biggest eyebrow, and he's just like, oh yeah.
That's why Spock's
yeah?
my hero, is this eyebrow right here.
That's a good eyebrow. He's looking very like, but he doesn't look like disappointed. He kind of looks like, oh.
It's like
he looks like he's about to go gossip about it.
It's like the humans have done it again.
Yeah. But he's like, so yeah, Kirk is like kissing Helen, and she's like, no, you don't actually want this. Adams did this to you, and it's like, well,
he's like, well,
Adams mostly did this to you.
I want it now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So they all run off, and they find that Enterprise security has beamed down and has completely seized the facility in like 5 seconds, which is pretty cool, really efficient. I'm sure that we won't see them be this efficient in future episodes, but they took over the entire facility in like maybe a minute, which is awesome.
Just have small facility, I guess.
Yeah, it's unclear because they say it's a penal colony, and it's like, how big is it? Is it like a prison, or is it like Australia, which was a penal colony?
Can't be Australia because the Enterprise doesn't have that many people to beam down.
Yeah, because I looked it up at one point, and the crew of the Enterprise at this point is apparently like 400 people, which is a lot, but it's not like sees a country with numbers. Anyway, they run back to the neural neutralizer room, and they find that Adams is dead, and they say that he has been emptied out by the machine. And I'm like, huh, weird.
Yeah, it melted his brain more or less. Like I don't know. There was no.
It's implied that when it's cranked all the way up, it just like removes your own thoughts so that somebody else can put their thoughts into your mind. And if someone's not there doing that, then it just empties your brain out and like basically turns it off. Like there's nothing in there, so you just die.
With nothing, completely hollows it. No thoughts, head empty.
Yeah, what a fun way to die.
Then when it was when there was nothing going on, he just died, and they describe it as like
maybe he forgot how to breathe.
He died completely alone, like not even his own thoughts.
Yeah,
to comfort him.
Back on the Enterprise, Spock tells Kirk that Van Gelder, who I guess is just okay now, is dismantling the machine, and he's like, I guess, in charge of the facility now. That's what's implied, at least.
The Vulcan mind meld is very powerful, and I'm not just saying that for this episode. Like, it gets used multiple times. Obviously, it's not his go-to move because of how taxing it is on himself, depending on who he's doing it to. But yeah, just set that guy right.
Yeah, and then Bones says, it's hard to imagine a man dying of loneliness, and Kirk says, not if you've sat in that room. But it's like really serious for a second, but then he also like smiles over at Spock, and he's like, I'm so like, in a way that's like, I'm glad I have you guys. And they just like have like a little smirk, and then it goes to credits.
Yeah, and that's the episode.
I like this episode. I do. I didn't know the creepy like behind the scenes Rand stuff, and like that does kind of partially ruin it for me.
Well, I mean, it does, but also like you can't hold that to this new character. Like the only thing that really bleeds into the character is like the script obviously being meant for a different character, and then just the reason why it had to be a new character. Like that's the part that makes it like a little scummy.
Makes it gross.
But it doesn't really it shouldn't be held against the episode as a whole, just whoever that shitty producer was.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But no, I really like this episode, so I think I'm gonna have to give it an engage. So our ranking system is either it's an engage if it's good, or it's highly illogical if it's bad. And I think I have to give it an engage. I
I'm
like this
also
episode definitively.
I'm also giving this one an engage. I
Nice.
just think there's a lot of good stuff, even if like we we talk a lot about how Kirk finds himself in these Me Too situations.
He keeps doing it.
Yeah, it's not really gonna stop, but I think there's so much fun and strong stuff from the supporting people in this one that really makes it fun to watch. I've got two facts more to say about this one.
Oh,
So, as mentioned before, this episode is the first appearance of the Vulcan mind meld. So apparently the reason they came up with it, or at least, or implicated it in this episode, is because they wanted to use it as like an alternative to hypnosis. So I guess somebody pitched like Spock could hypnotize the guy because Spock is alien and some a little mystical, not really, but kind of.
sure.
Um, but then somebody, whether it was Rod Mary or some other writer, was like, "No, I don't want to. We don't want to do two things. One, we don't want to imply that hypnosis is a medical technique. We don't want to inaccurately depict that that is an alternative to medicine.
Mm,
And we also don't want to try to explain out of nowhere that Spock is like a qualified hypnotist in a medical capacity.
right.
So then they developed the mind meld, which like originally was like they like tooled around with like he was going to like touch his chest like his heart or whatever, but then they went full brain, which makes more sense.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the other fact I have is one of our guest stars of this episode who plays Van Gelder. It's played by Morgan Woodward, and he was in a lot of stuff, including the TV show Dallas,
Oh,
the TV show Gunsmoke, which I think he
yeah.
played like multiple characters on, and he was also in the movie Cool Hand Luke. So, not uncommon for a lot of people back then to be jumping around a bunch of different television shows and stuff like that. But what is interesting is Morgan Woodward himself said in apparently multiple interviews that playing Van Gelder in this episode was perhaps the most physically and emotionally exhausting role he's ever played. And when I read that before I watched the episode, and I'm like, what? There's no way. There's 0% way. But then you watch it, he's putting it all. He's killing himself on that hospital table.
He is doing a lot. That's fair. I don't know. Maybe he
So
played smaller roles in the other shows too. I don't know for
I
sure.
think he was on Dallas a lot. So I don't know. I
Uh,
never watched Dallas. Can't say.
all right, put it on the list.
Oh no. But that takes us to our next episode, which is called the Corbomite Maneuver.
Corbomite maneuver. So this episode
Corbomite
star.
is my name,
the,
and bluffing ourselves out of situations is my game.
this episode starts with on the bridge, and Spock and some of the crew members are taking photos, I guess, of the stars. They're like star mapping because
Yeah,
they
they
are in a place that no one else has been before, where no
are
man
star
has gone
mapping
before.
because we're furthest from home that we've ever been.
Mr. Frodo.
And you can tell how fun and interesting star mapping is because not only do we have multiple crew members complaining how boring it is, but Kirk is not on the bridge.
He's not even there. But then something exciting happens. A weird cube, a Rubik's Cube, comes flying at them, and it stops in front of them, spinning menacingly, and looking kind
Cube,
of like a PS1 loading screen.
Cube 2, Hypercube.
The cube blocks their path, and Sulu calls Kirk to the bridge. He's like, "Hey, Captain, a cube here."
Before we go much further, I
E-
need to point something out.
uh,
I need to ask a question,
or,
but I'm going to ask it to the person who is committing the offense.
uh,
Uhura, why are you wearing yellow again?
she likes the yellow.
Going on?
don't know. She barely like she has like one line in this episode too.
At this point, I'm assuming like she technically has multiple jobs, and she has to like I don't know wear the corresponding color on the day of whatever she's doing.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe she just she, she got her clothes swapped in the laundry.
Could be.
Anyway,
She thought no one would notice.
at this time, Kirk is in medbay kicking the wall blocks for a physical exam. By which I mean he's kind of on his back doing bicycle kicks to these two blocks that are sticking out of the
Yeah.
wall, like basically like he's pushing buttons on the wall with his feet, but by doing a bicycle kick on a hospital bed.
You ever done that?
No, I don't think that's a thing.
Would you?
No,
Oh, you don't think it looked fun?
no.
Okay.
Kirk said it wasn't fun either. He was like, "You're killing me," whenever Bones told him to keep going for like another minute. So I don't know. But there's like an alarm or an alert light flashing, and Bones just like doesn't tell Kirk. And then when Kirk gets down, he's like, "You saw the light, my guy. Why didn't you let me know?"
Should have finished a physical, didn't I?
And then after Kirk leaves the room to go deal with that, Bones is like, "If I jumped every time an alarm went off, I'd end up talking to myself." And it's funny because he's talking to himself at the time.
I love Bones. He's just, I don't know. These last two episodes, he's been really good.
Kirk asks, he gets to like the elevator and he hits a communicator. And he's just like, "Hey, is the cube like super dangerous right now, or do I have time to change?" And they're like, it's no, you got time to change." So he goes to his room to put on a shirt, I guess, which is good because at the time he's walking down the halls just sweaty and half naked.
Oh, sweaty and slutty.
Sweaty
That's
and slutty.
the Kirk we love and know. Yeah.
He had to start this episode with his shoulders out because he didn't get to get them out in the last episode, and I understand.
He should have.
I respect that. On the bridge, a new helmsman, I think, and Spock are messing
Navigator.
with. They're messing with each other.
They're two different jobs.
This is the same desk.
We need two different guys on the Sunny for Luffy's crew to do those jobs. We need two different guys for here.
When the cube showed up earlier, the new guy Bailey had like I guess yelled. He's like, it's coming right at us, or I don't remember. And so he's like taking orders from Spock, and he's like, "And by the way, me raising my voice earlier doesn't mean I can't do my job. It's because I have something called an adrenaline gland." And Spock's like, "I don't know, that sounds lame. You should get it removed."
Yes. Spock says skill issue. Like the most, I don't give a shit about whatever you're telling me, dude. And then Sulu's like, you try to go tit for tat with Spock, he's gonna spank your ass.
He's gonna beat you every time. Kirk asks Spock after he's gotten dressed. He asks him to have the department heads meet him on the bridge, and Spock's like, "Oh, they're already there." So no one. It basically comes to this: no one knows what the cube is or how it works. And Bailey's like, "We should blast it. We should just shoot the thing." And then 18 hours later, they're like, "Okay, so it's either some kind of buoy, or it's a trap." So Kirk's like,
Yeah.
"Hey, what if we leave?"
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Hey,
that's a good option.
What if 18 hours later we just try to like leave? And so they do, and it doesn't work. The thing follows them, and then it also starts spinning faster and releasing radiation, which is not great. So it keeps getting closer and closer because it's going faster than they can run away, I guess. And so the radiation is getting stronger and stronger, and eventually they're just like, "All right, blast it." And so they blow it up at like point blank range, and everyone throws themselves in the ground. And honestly, it's a pretty good effect. Everyone is really good about it. So it's pretty cool. I think is this the first time we've seen the ship like under attack, a like sort of space battle?
I
don't think they've shot
think-
their phasers from the ship before.
think I could have sworn we fired a torpedo at something. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. Don't exactly remember. What I do know is multiple times leading up to the firing of the phasers, this navigator fellow, Bailey, keeps going like, "We should shoot it. We should just attack it." And I'm like, "How did you get on the bridge crew if you're like this? What's wrong with you?"
Unfortunately, in this case, he was right.
He was, but it's not his call to make. And then there's the point where they're in their meeting room, and Kirk is like, "All right, Bailey, I need you to make the call." And Bailey's like, "All right, arm the phasers." And he's like, "Well,
Not that call.
Up. What are you doing, you psychopath?"
Yeah, but then they do that. You know what I mean?
They eventually had to once they had no other options, but they didn't have no options at the point that this guy, he was jumping the gun, literally.
He was. but I feel like it kind of gets undercut by him being right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like at this point, people are going like, they're like talking about Bailey, and they're like, oh, you know, he's young, you promoted him too fast, because there's this thing where like I guess Kirk sees himself in Bailey. And it's like
Yeah.
up to this point, like he's been like a little abrasive, but like he hasn't done anything wrong
No.
really.
Okay. Yeah. He hasn't done anything wrong. But whenever I see someone like try to jump the chain of command, I'm like, hey, sit down.
But he didn't try to jump the chain of command. Kirk told him to. He was like, "All right, do the thing," and he just misunderstood what he was saying. He wasn't like, "All right, I'm gonna make the call." Kirk told him to do a thing, and he misunderstood what the thing he wanted him to do was.
I don't hate this guy, but you gotta watch his ass. That's all I'm saying.
Kirk reprimands Bailey and some of the others because I guess when he told them to blast it, they were a little slow to blast it, which is like again, like they've been trying to blast it for the last 18 hours, and your ass wanted to drink coffee and talk about like fly paper. So I don't know. Maybe let someone make choices once in a while, huh?
Damn.
Uh,
You're
it just blows me
pulling
away
the
that they
Bailey
sat
card.
there for 18 hours doing dick ass nothing.
Well, they can't. It's some sort of alien thing.
Yeah,
We
but
don't
they
know
didn't
what it
even.
is.
They hadn't even attempted to leave yet.
Well, yeah, that's well. Maybe it'll do something. I don't know. They got protocols they gotta follow.
Like they're gonna poke it with a stick and go do something.
They're gonna put Spock in a little spacesuit and shoot him out at it.
If they had done that, I would have been so much more entertained.
Well, you're gonna like the movie then.
Hell yeah, brother. In the elevator, Bones tells Kirk that he was too hard on him. And this is where he's like, maybe you promoted him too fast. Was it because you saw yourself in him and all that, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, Rand is back in this episode, and she has a ponytail sticking out of her beehive hair.
And she's got coffee. That's later. That's a little bit later.
Yeah, the coffee's later. This time she's bringing Kirk a salad, and he complains about a salad.
Salad.
And it's like, and here's my thing, because they're normally eating those like little cubes. And I'm
Yeah.
like, are those cubes not like specifically nutrition cubes to keep people healthy? Because if they're not, then like,
That's a good question.
why do we
The
have
cubes.
salad?
The cubes are the unhealthy thing.
That's crazy to me. If I'm eating for fun, it ain't cubes. That's all I'm saying. Like, give me a steak, give me some potatoes or something. I'm not eating
Maybe
cubes for fun.
maybe the cubes are like mochi.
Mochi
Little
is pretty
cubes of
good, I guess.
mochi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then she leaves, and he complains again about having a woman as a yeoman, which feels
Did
extra
she give
weird
him
now.
that? Did she give him that salad? Which, by the way, that was like a
It was
very, very green salad. It was
it
like
was just
leafy
leaves.
lettuce,
Yeah,
and like they looked like broccoli heads in there too.
yeah.
But did she give him a fork? I don't think she did.
I wasn't looking that close.
Because he picks up some of the lettuce with his hands and throws it back down,
They eat with their
kind
hands
of
in
in
the
a
future.
tantrum.
So the crew, while he's eating, the crew are like running simulations for combat, and they get a 94%. But he's like, "Let me know when you get 100," because he's being a dick this episode.
Well, he had to eat a salad.
He had to eat a salad, so he's upset. And Bones asks him like, "What are you gonna do when they give you that extra 6%?" And he's like, "I'm gonna take it," and then he gets cut off before he can say, "I don't know, shove it up my ass" or something.
Shove it up my ass.
Sulu comes over and he's like, "This is not a drill. I'm picking up a really big object. It's coming towards us super fast." So they all go to the bridge, and it turns out the thing coming at them really fast is a big old golden golf ball looking thing.
She did give him a fork. I looked. Yeah.
And as it shows
this-
up, it shoots them with like a tractor beam, so they can't move. That's the other part of this.
So
Oh, and
when
also
I
it's
saw
very
this-
big.
When I saw this big, yeah, it's kind of like Death Star-y, but
Yeah.
very gold. When I saw this big thing, my first thought was because we're watching this on Paramount Plus with all of like the remastered effects, right?
Mhm.
And I was like, I wonder what this looked like on its original release. So I looked that up, and the answer is kind of the same. I was a little
Okay.
surprised. Not obviously, much lower definition, and they probably put grease on the screen to hide that it was just like a little model that they were shaking on a stick or whatever it was.
Right.
But
He
the
painted a
design
golf
was
ball.
still a big ball, and you could tell that it was like little clumps of things came together. And I was like, okay, that's neat. That when they brought in people to make, like a digital transfer high def thing of the same ship, it looked more or less the same.
Well, yeah. I mean, hey, that's pretty cool. The ship does have kind of like the visuals of like when you look at an electron map or something. It's just all the different like balls stuck together. It's like a ball made of smaller balls, is what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So Kirk
It's a
tries to
ball-heavy
hail.
episode.
So the Kirk tries to hail the big ball, and they respond through the navigation beam. This gets mentioned, but it seems to not really matter. The only thing that comes from it is that the first person to hear the alien talk is Bailey, and he's like listening to it, and they're like, "Okay, Hura, tap that into the main feed," and they get we got first contact with an alien called Balok of the First Federation Sip Fosarius. And he calls them savage and primitive and is like talking all kinds of trash. And he's like, "You blew up my warning buoy, and now I'm going to fry your balls."
It's like, oh, come on.
Come on, not my balls. They've just got torsioned in the last episode.
Immediately, you're like, warning buoy. It was chasing us and trying to radiate
It was
us.
trying to kill us. Kirk tries to communicate back, and the ship gets like scanned really hard, is how they describe it. But it like also is turning off some of their systems, and like so they can't fire guns or for some reason use the heat in the kitchen is brought up later. I don't know why they bothered turning that one off, but whatever. And Balak is like, "If you make any hostile actions, I will kill you.
But just so we're clear, I'm going to kill you anyways.
I'm probably going to kill you, but if you do anything hostile, I'll kill you." So they try to send
Balak
a warning
dude's really
beacon.
sassy.
He's the worst. They try to send a warning beacon back to like stop other ships from coming this way, but Balak destroys it, and then he specifically is like he says like, "I've destroyed your warning beacon," and it's like, okay, so you knew what it was. You knew it wasn't hostile. He's like, "Okay, this is an act of hostility. I'm going to blow you up in 10 minutes. Pray to your god or gods or whatever. See you later."
Yeah, he's being a real dick. He's negging them.
Yeah. Kirk comes over the loudspeaker to like everyone on the crew, who I guess somehow maybe heard that. I don't know why else he would feel the need to like express this to the entire crew who doesn't know what's going on. But he's basically like, "Hey guys, we just met alien life, and they're the worst. But like, I'm gonna make it work."
Someone said that it was projected to the whole crew, which is weird because it originally only came in through the navigation thing.
Yeah, I don't know,
But you
weird.
can't argue with godlike alien beings.
I guess not. They try to leave, but their engines won't turn on, and Spock is able to get a visual of Balok, and my guy, that's Squidward tentacles.
Yeah.
It is a very clear puppet of Squidward tentacles, by which I mean you can see the head like turning and the like marionette mouth like clacking up and down.
Yeah, and they're very scared of it.
Yeah, they're like, that's spooky. Because I guess to this point, the only alien that we've known they've seen is Spock, I guess, and then also the salt vampire. I think those are the only aliens they've seen. Is that because the cage didn't happen here? That was different guys.
We will, yeah. We're coming up on them learning about that soon.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, in theory, that they know alien races. Have we dealt with Romulans yet?
No, that's coming up too.
They should know. They know who the Romulans are. They know who the Klingons are. Pretty sure at this point. I mean, there's like, we'll get there, I guess. So they know aliens, but this one is blue,
Squidward.
I
He's
guess.
Squidward tentacles. So Bailey starts freaking out, and he's like, "Why aren't we doing anything? Why are we just sitting here not doing anything?" And it's like, well, we did just spend 18 hours doing dick ass like a little while ago, so I understand why you're upset about it. And he's like, "We only have 10 minutes. We need to do anything." And Sulu's like, "Actually, we're down to 9 minutes." He's like, "And this guy's doing a countdown."
Yeah, he
Which
does
is
say that.
really funny. Because I related to that one moment of like, why are you counting down right now? Like, we need to be solving problems, not looking at a clock.
Someone has to know. Someone has to know how much time we have left.
It was really funny. But Bailey is having like kind of a freak out. This is the part where he like kind of goes crazy because he starts going like, "What's the point of all these rules and regulations? We're all gonna just die or whatever," which is like kind of fair, but also like clearly he's stepping out of line. So Kirk bans him from the bridge for a little minute.
This guy's cracked. Get him off my bridge.
Get him off my bridge. Kirk tries to talk to them again, where he's like, "We blew up your stupid thing because it was trying to kill us," but the guy's just like, 7 minutes left. And he's like, "All right,
No,
okay.
no,
No,
it didn't."
Can't hear you. Bye. I hate
He's
you."
a
And
dickhead.
then we get a second commercial break, and the 7 minutes have all of a sudden just become 4 minutes.
Damn. No, the commercial break happened in real
The
time.
commercial break happened in real time, and it turns out that Bailey was kind of right because they did dick ass for 3 minutes in the middle there.
I mean, what do you do?
anything. I don't know. Something. 4 minutes left, and Kirk is thinking that they're overlooking something, so he's just kind of like pacing. He's like, "What are we gonna do? There's got to be some way out of this." And Spock tells him. Spock is basically just like, "Guess we die."
Yep, it's been a good run.
Yeah, we got out chest. We're in checkmate, my guy. We lost. And then Bones comes in at honestly a bad time, and he's like, "Hey, can you go easy on Bailey?"
We are going to die.
It's like we have 4 minutes left, and then Squidward goes 3 minutes left, and it's like 3 minutes left.
I promise. After the next 4 minutes, I'll never yell at him again. How
Yeah.
about that?
And then Kirk's like, Mr. Spock, you thought it was chess, but I'm gonna do poker. And so he calls back over to Squidward, and he goes, "Hey, I'm rubber, and you're glue, and if you blow me up, I'll blow you up too. I got this thing on the ship. It's called we got a Corbomite device, and all Federation ships are made with it. And any damage that our ship takes, it'll bounce it right back at you. So how about that? I'll die, you'll die. It's all right."
And he specifically says it's not in the ship's logs because the guy's already read the ship's logs.
Yeah, which is a good lie, but also like sounds very stupid.
I don't think it would work on another human.
I don't think it would work on any intelligent life form, truthfully. But we're dealing with Squidward tentacles. Because also, like, what he says is it'll return the damage that you do to us to you. But their ship is, like, the size of a planet.
Yeah, that's...
So, like, their ship would be fine. And they could just use
no.
the bare minimum.
Or
Or
it adjusts to scale.
Or here's the thing.
Oh,
they're shutting off systems in the ship. Just turn off the life support.
No, the Corbomite will know.
Alright, you got me. So they hang up on the guy, I guess. And Spock's like, "Good shit, Captain. Way to go." He's like, "I don't think it worked, but it was well told." Spock says the Balak reminds him of his dad. And Scotty's like, "Sorry for your mom." And he's like, "No, my mom's great. Very happy human woman." And this might be the first time we hear that his mom's human, but I think
it actually is.
It was.
It actually.
I think we knew he was half, but we didn't know.
Yeah.
What the half
so,
was.
He said before that I think the exact thing he said was one of his ancestors was human. But this one fully confirms that his parentage is half human, half Vulcan.
Didn't he, in Naked Time, when he was crying, wasn't he? It was like, "And I never told my mom I loved her, and she wasn't Vulcan, so she needed to hear that." Didn't he say something like that?
I don't know. I'm going to say I don't know. I'm going to say it's possible, but I'm going to say I did read a trivia thing that said exactly what I just said.
Oh, okay.
Maybe that was wrong. I don't know.
I feel like I remember that, but maybe it was like not explicitly his mom. Maybe he was just that's where he was like an ancestor or something. I don't know. Anyway, Bailey comes back in with 30 seconds left, and he's like, "Can I die at my post, I guess?" And they're like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Sulu starts the final countdown, which is but the ship doesn't get destroyed when they hit 0. And then Spock's like, "I like this poker game. Pretty cool." Balak comes back over the thing, and he's like, "I've delayed your destruction until such time as you can prove that you have the Corbomite device." And Kirk's like, "All right, let him wait for a minute."
I love that.
Let him sweat. Hold on, wait.
And then he gets on the thing. Just says,
No. It's really funny. It's like arguably not the best way to handle this situation, but like it is very funny, so I respect it. So Squidward FaceTimes back over, and he's like, "All right, I let you see me. Isn't that cool? Anyway, check this shit out."
And he takes off a little guy.
And he shoots like a little ball out the side of the ship. And while this is happening, Rand comes back into the room with some hot coffee, and they're like, "I thought we didn't have heaters in the kitchen." And she's like, "I shot it with a gun."
Yeah, I wouldn't drink that.
Shot this coffee with my phaser, and wouldn't you know it, we got hot coffee. Anyway, Balak launches.
Kirk does drink it. I wouldn't drink that.
I mean, he owes her one, to be honest. He wouldn't look at her legs until they were gross. Think about that.
Yeah, I know. I was there.
Balak launches a smaller set of balls from his big balls, and the main ship like leaves, and the small ship is like, "Okay, we're gonna tow you to a planet that you guys will be able to survive on." And I forget exactly what he says, but it's something just like, we'll blow you up if you do anything crazy. We're gonna put you on this planet where you can chill for a while, and like we'll give you just enough power on your ship for it to like not crash or whatever. But Kirk is like, well, he's in a really tiny ship now, so let's make it so that this tractor beam that he's using uses extra energy. So we're gonna like turn a little bit sideways, and we're gonna like pull against the tractor beam so that it like burns out the energy faster.
Yeah.
And it works, although they do almost overheat. Well, no, they do overheat their own engines in the process.
Yeah. Scotty
Scotty's like, stop
runs up
blowing
to
up
the
my
bridge.
engines.
He's like, "What the hell are you doing up here?"
Every episode that we are on the ship, you blow something up on our ship.
Who, who,
Stop it.
who do you think is fixing all this stuff?
Do you know how expensive
The,
starship parts are?
there's a point where, because Spock is reading off like the temperature of the engines,
Yeah.
and he's like reading 9,000 degrees, and it like keeps going up like 991, 92, 93. Um, and like I know that it's the engines, but I pictured in my mind engineering was getting that hot.
Yeah. I mean, it was.
So like it's the temperature of the sun, and Scotty's like shirtless and dripping sweat. Like,
Yeah.
ah,
Ugh. So they managed to break free of the tractor beam by doing this. And Uhura immediately afterwards picks up a distress signal coming from the small balls. She's like, the big ball's too far away. It won't be able to hear the distress signal. Like, and their life support's out. Like, they're gonna die, bro. So Kirk is like, all right, Enterprise. And he goes back over the loudspeaker. We're gonna go back and help Squidward.
a lesser captain would have left him.
So the Enterprise goes to help him. Kirk, Bones, and Bailey arm up and head over. Spock is like, should I go? And he's like, no, if we all die on those small balls, I need you to run the ship. So that's why I'm taking Bones and this doofus.
I'm taking the people I'm mad at right now.
Yeah, and they arm up with guns too, which is like, I don't know. The distress signal said that they were dying. I guess you don't believe that, which is fair, but also like they find Squidward, and he is actually just a puppet. He's just a
It's
puppet.
it's the greatest twist in television history.
That the
That alien didn't look like a shitty puppet because the TV show is old. It looked like a shitty puppet because it was a shitty puppet.
exactly,
That's amazing.
exactly. I thought it was really funny. What I found less funny is that they're then greeted by the grossest baby I've ever seen in my life.
Okay.
This
Okay.
disgusting little gremlin child.
Okay. That's not just any disgusting little gremlin child.
Oh no, do we know this gremlin child?
Oh, I know him.
Oh no, is
That
it
is
you?
that is Clint Howard,
Who?
brother of Ron Howard, and I he's he's I don't know if I want to call him a legend, but that's him. He does just look like that.
Oh, I do know this guy. I don't know what I know
Yeah.
him from, but I've seen this
Well,
face.
he appears in like every Ron Howard movie.
Yeah, that makes sense, I
Um,
guess.
he was on, not to the extent of Ron Howard because he was like on it, but he appeared on like the Andy Griffith Show. Remember that slasher movie, The Ice Cream Man?
Nope.
Where the Ice Cream Man kills people.
No.
Well, that's Clint Howard.
Crazy.
Anyways, Ron Howard's brother, Clint Howard, he has, God bless him, a kind of unfortunate face. Definitely when he was a child. So yeah,
It's
he comes out
awful.
looking like a full mutant, and I swear that's just him.
The baby
Um,
is like, "Hi, I'm Balak. Come on over here." And he's like laying in bed, and he's a baby. He's like not a literal baby. He's like maybe a toddler or something. He's like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years old. And
Yeah.
they've given him like ridiculous eyebrows. He's got the
Yeah.
worst teeth. He looks like a lamprey made out with a blender.
Yeah.
And he's not using his own voice. He's flapping his mouth and being ADR'd over by somebody who's doing like a higher pitched voice to like, I guess, pretend to be in a smaller body. I don't know. It looks
if
awful.
If you
I hate
okay,
this baby. This is my
So I
least
did-
favorite creature in this series so far. This baby.
I did say it was just him, and that's not fair to say. I think the teeth are just him. They might have done something to his teeth
I think they punched him in
because
the mouth.
they're a bit special. But yeah, they have him in a bald cap. I feel like they covered up his natural eyebrows and then put those little caterpillars on him, whatever. And yeah, the combination of his just like his little baby face, and then the voiceover that's being dubbed in. Yeah, here he's scary. And it was a jump scare because I forgot that he was in this.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, Clint Howard. Okay.
Yeah. And he's like, well, I had to pretend that I was Squidward because you wouldn't be afraid of my gross child body. And I was like, I am literally more afraid of the gross
Yeah.
child body than of Squidward.
So his exact quote almost is, "You would never have been frightened by me," and I disagree.
Yeah. Brother, I am frightened. I'm looking at you from 40, no, from 60 years in the future, and I'm still frightened.
Yeah. But children listening at home, do not be afraid of Clint Howard. He is a benevolent being. He's a gentle giant.
But don't let him
Uh,
into the house. Don't give him permission. If you invite him in, he will never leave, and he'll hurt you.
no, he. I assume he lives on his brother's couch.
So anyway, the Clint Howard monster baby is like, the distress signal was fake. I was testing you. Haha, got you, bitch. And the big ball's on its way. You want this weird drink? It's called like Thralia. So I don't know. I didn't write it down, but it had a T word name.
I wouldn't have drinking that
Yeah,
either.
and all the people are like, I don't think I want to drink this. And he's like, gentlemen, he drinks it first to prove it's not poison or something. And then he's like, I would like to keep one of you here to like keep me company. And I'm like, no. But Kirk is like, you can have Bailey,
And Bailey's okay with it.
which is crazy. Straight up
Bailey's
crazy.
like, I would like very much to be part of this cultural exchange. And I'm like, you're gonna live with the Clint Howard. I love you. You're gonna live with this little freak.
You're living with this little
Do
monster,
that.
this horrible little gremlin baby. I don't know. I don't know if we ever see Bailey again.
I don't think so.
I feel really bad for him that he has to hang out with this gross baby man now, but it is
No,
what
it
it
was
is.
a happy ending. He liked it.
I will say, of the two new characters introduced in these two episodes, I would much rather see Helen again, Helen Noel, than Bailey. And I don't know if I'm going to see either of them again. I didn't look. But
I don't know.
Bailey
Doubt
is
it.
presumably being eaten by a bunch of small, sharp truth babies. But gross Clint Howard baby is like, all right, I'm going to show you around my ship. And then they just walk off camera, and like that's the end of the episode. They're like,
Well,
I guess we're friends now.
you know what else Clint Howard was in?
My nightmares?
He, as a child in the 60s, so around this time, he was the voice of Roo, the little kangaroo in the Winnie the Pooh cartoons.
Aw.
Yeah.
They said, you have a face for voiceover.
Oh, they did. That's true. But you know what else he was in that wasn't a voiceover? And this is a callback to a previous episode we've recorded. So apologies for that, the chronology. He was in The Rocketeer.
Oh my god. I guess I'll have to watch The Rocketeer. It keeps coming back.
And it always will.
Did you have any more trivia for this before we get into our reviews for it?
Two little things. The script originally instructed Leonard Nimoy to emote fearful of the Balak puppet. But then the director of the episode told Nimoy, like, just ignore that. So that's why Spock gives it the like kind of a fascinated look. And then yeah, McCoy in the med bay says, "What am I? A doctor or a moon shuttle conductor?" Which is kind of the first version of him saying, like, his like, "Damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor, not a blank blank blank." Right? So
Mm,
that's little not super interesting trivia like the previous episode, but
yeah.
that's what we got. That's what we're working with.
Well, hey, we're now 11 episodes in, which means we are like a sixth of the way through the entire show.
Yeah, and then the next episodes we're doing is a two-parter, I believe.
Right. Right. It's the Menagerie, part 1 and part 2. I saw
Menagerie.
that. So that'll be really exciting. Let's get into our reviews for this episode real fast. I, again, really like this episode.
Mhm.
My only complaint is the baby. I feel like
Oh, it's Clint Howard. He makes it better for me.
I really like the whole episode. I really like them dealing with this in an interesting way. I do think that if they were trying to tell a story with Bailey, they didn't tell that story well. Of like, oh, he's
Yeah.
unhinged and we need to like make him better, because I think they undercutted it by making him right on every count.
Yeah, that's a
And
good point. I think they undercut it by it's very clear, like, well, how do we explain we won't ever see this guest spot again? And we just
Yeah.
dump him off on this weird alien ship.
Yeah, so that I didn't love, and I didn't love the fact that the alien was a baby. I wish it was just like a smaller creature of some kind. That would have cost more. I understand, but like I don't know, the baby was weird to me. But I'm still giving this episode an engage. I think that it's interestingly written. I really enjoyed it. It feels very like this is weird for me to say, having only watched 11 episodes of Star Trek. Really, at this point, this feels very Star Trek to me. And so I'm like, this is I think this is a good representation of what the show is. I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah.
The thumbnail on Paramount was of Squidward, and I was like, I gotta know what that is. So
It was a lie.
Yeah, it was a lie. So I was really into it. It's going to be an engage for me.
Yeah, I agree. Also engage. I love this episode. I love the crew interactions. I love Kirk. Like, we're down to nothing. What do? We just bluff,
Yeah,
and it quote unquote works. Like, I don't know if Clint Howard ever actually believed it, or if he was just, because as he said, he was just testing, like, oh, what are these humans doing? What's their deal? So he just wants to see how they react to stuff. And then the fact that they came over to help him, he was like, all right, we're chill now. We can smoke Marlboros and chug some Pabst
yeah.
on my ball ship.
I'm gonna teach this baby how to smoke, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna
No, the
hotbox this ball, bro.
the baby's gonna teach us.
Hell yeah, they got that
Y-
good
Yeah, it's a really fun time. Give it engage for sure.
for sure. There's two good episodes. I don't know that I'm like in love with either of these episodes, but I feel like it's really good. I'm still waiting for like an episode of Star Trek where I'm like, yes, okay, this is great. This holds up in the modern day still. Like it's awesome. But there's been a lot of episodes like these two where I'm like, this is enjoyable. I understand it, and I want to watch more. Like I've had a lot of that, but none where I've been like, wow, oh my god, I'm still waiting for that one, and I hope we get there
Yeah.
soon.
If
But
memory serves, we're gonna hit our stride starting season 2.
okay,
Because you got to remember, we don't even have Chekhov yet.
true. I
So-
barely know who that is, but yes.
He's gonna become like our permanent navigator. I think this is his role.
Good. Well, I'm excited to meet him in, I guess, 20 episodes when we get there. But yeah. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, I think that ties us up for this one.
Okay. Well, if you want to tell us how much you liked these episodes, you can let us know on Spotify and YouTube. That is the two places where this show is posted. Please leave a comment, share it with your friends, leave a review if you're on Spotify. We need all of the engagement that we can get. It really helps the algorithm share us out to other people, and we are trying to grow this channel. So please, literally any help that you can give us is always beneficial. You can follow the show on Twitter at @RSR_POD. You can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Daniel J. McG.
Oh, and you can follow me at Skyler 8-bit only on Blue Sky.
Thank you very much for watching this far into the episode, and until next time, let's see what's out there.
The game's just starting, the world's so bright. Jump right in, everything feels right. Let's play, take a trip back in time where pixels and memories intertwine.